Caddis Maximus here, this time with a review of the Harbor Freight 36 slot magnetic bit holder. This is part of some of their new stuff. They have a bunch of other magnetic socket holders as well as like twist lock socket holders. This thing was kind of expensive at like $7, but it seems pretty well made, you know, considering what it is. It is made in Taiwan. And how it works is they have this, it's like a real thick piece of the flexible magnet-like magnetic logos on the sides of vehicles, and it has a real thick piece of that, and they have these 6 little plastic rivets. This top piece looks like it's some kind of high-impact plastic. It's not brittle like ABS, so it's either a real rigid form of polyurethane or maybe nylon, something along those lines, but it is pretty decent. It is pretty darn rigid. We can see that this flex magnet is held on pretty good. You can get a little bit of gap there, but overall it's not such a bad piece. One thing I was going to mention is the magnet is pretty good. It will certainly hold itself with a bunch of bits on the side of a toolbox. We have a pretty heavy block of steel here, a few pounds, and we can put this on here and actually lift up this block of steel. It will fall off if we jerk it around, but it's fairly impressive. Unfortunately, what isn't so impressive is that the holes, I was expecting a bit of a friction fit in addition to the magnet, but they're relying entirely on the magnet. And on that wide surface area, it certainly holds on pretty strong, but on just the end of a little 6mm or 1/4 inch bit, those things just have, that little end has very little surface area, so it kind of barely holds them in there. I guess it's okay. But if you get any kind of sawdust or crud down the bottom of those holes, it's going to lift them up enough where they'll basically just be loose in there. And there is no friction fit. These holes are drilled at about 6.5mm, or just a little bit over 1/4 of an inch. And so otherwise the bits have a loose fit. And even brand new, if you shake it a little bit, the bits will fall out. And that seemed like I put quite a bit of effort into that. But if you don't have this just sitting on the side of your toolbox, then, and it's like inside your toolbox and beating around, then a lot of the bits are going to end up falling out. As far as actually on like a rolling tool chest, it would be just fine for that situation. And I think that's more of what it's intended for, or what their idea of it was. You just put a bunch of bits in there and they're held, you know, just well enough. And then they're pretty easy to take in and out. So you'll have to kind of take that into your own consideration. I always preferred bit holders that really have a nice friction fit, even if you kind of have to hold the bit holder to get the bits out. I prefer that just because I know that I can grab a bit holder like this, toss it in the toolbox, and not have to really worry too much about the bits themselves falling out. Now, if you use it for the short 1-inch bits, they're sunk in there so deep that in that situation, they probably stay in there pretty good. But as soon as you start getting these longer 2-inch bits, they have a lot of weight, and they really just aren't held in there super great. And then for some reason, they have a larger hole right in the middle instead of giving it just more positions. I guess for certain types of accessories, it would have been nice if it has 36 positions. It looks like that we could get 4 more holes, and it could have been a 40-position unit. Although I suppose that allows you a place to screw it into a wall, although you could just use any of the holes to run a screw through. Anyway, saw this as kind of a new item, or it is a new item on Harbor Freight. It was pretty cheap and it's pretty handy. I always have lots of loose bits, so it's kind of actually hard to find just bit holders, and want to do a quick review of it. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody watching and subscribing, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. Until next time, Caddis Maximus out.